Hey everybody, good afternoon. We're going to go ahead and get started in just a minute. All right, going to go ahead and get started today. So thanks everybody for taking the time in October to listen into our webinar. We're going to be talking about audio video transcription today. This is our new series called Quick Bites, which is 15 minutes or less, just like we're trying to get a pizza to everybody. So with that said, I'm gonna go ahead and jump right into it. So what is the AV transcription? So it analyzes audio or video files that transcribes the spoken words into a text field. There's two text fields that you can transcribe to, and we'll walk through this in relativity in just a little bit, but essentially is an extracted text or transcription viewer text. It's a mass operation function only, where you can select up to 10,000 files, but only files with audio tracks will be analyzed. So if there is no audio or there's no track in the file, obviously it's going to skip it. You have the ability to select a primary and up to 9 secondary languages, which we'll talk about in just a moment. After this is done, build a DT search index. You're allowed to search for keywords, and you're also able to highlight terms, and we'll touch on that. So gone are the days essentially where you have to listen to the entire file to make sure you aren't missing anything. So with the languages and speaker partitioning, I'm going to touch on those just a little bit. So you can select your primary language, right? Probably in most cases for us in the United States, it's going to be transcribed to English, but you also have many other languages that you can select. And for a secondary language, which is optional, you have up to 9 additional languages that you can take. So just one note, if you are doing something like translating to Spanish, you have a few different options available to you there. There's also enable automatic speaker partitioning. So if you've ever seen like a Teams or a message that's been recorded, it'll break down to speaker 1, speaker 2, and in the bottom left screenshot, you're going to see that in the box there with the timestamps and the text that's associated to that. Running it's as simple as selecting the files you want to transcribe, entering a name, putting the field, the text box you want to put it in, the email address, picking the primary and secondary languages, and then either turning on or off the automatic speaker partitioning. And then it'll tell you how many files and how many files to be transcribed. A quick note, as somebody that processes data, if you are processing audio or video files in, just something to note is there is a possibility that text could already be accounted for, metadata was extracted out of the audio or video file. So if you are putting it in the extracted text and overwriting that, the DT search index needs a full build. So just something very key of note, because if you're trying to run search terms against what could be very basic information against file metadata, and you're thinking it's running against the transcribed text, you're going to run into some problems there. So how does speaker partitioning work? It's going to label people speaker 1, speaker 2, etc. And so you'll see it differ throughout the file. The label is stored only on the actual viewer, and we'll touch on this a little bit. It's not available in the extracted text. So if you're trying to look for speaker 1 or speaker 2 in the text, it is not there, but it is on the transcribed text screen that we'll show in just a little bit. And then yeah, just those notes. It only works for files that are under 4 hours, so just something to note. Another kind of thing to very much be aware of and look out for, transcription will only grab the first audio channel. So if by some means you do have a file that has many audio channels, it could be something like a background noise, but it could also be another speaker. So relativity is only going to grab that first audio channel and transcribe that first audio channel, maybe something they look at in the future, but just wanted to note that. So just something to look out for as you're working on that. So obviously it's only going to work on files that have audio. So that's something pretty key there. And then the file types that are supported over there on the left. I will note some MP4 files will work. Just depends on the type and the makeup of them. There's very many different types of MP4 files and how they're built and stored. So just something to note there. If you do submit a bunch of documents, they don't have audio, essentially it's going to skip those files. One of the great things about the application is the price tag of $0.00. So it is built into the tool, so very much don't have to worry about maybe spot checking those things if it's going to skip them. How many files can you run? What are the size limits? Essentially 10,000 files can be ran in one job. Once again, it's a mass operation only, so you can't select the individual file. You have to have that mass option, mass selection. It's recommended not to submit anything larger than 4 gigs for a few different reasons. And then as noted, if it has speaker partitioning as a 4-hour limit to that. If you are submitting 9,000 files, I mean, I would recommend maybe breaking it down into batches because it's going to wait on the largest file. And so, if you're trying to get into something sooner rather than later, maybe break that into 2 sets or 3 sets or even more sets. So just something to note there. Here's a quick screenshot of what the viewer looks like. You can kind of see the wave audio that is underneath the viewer there on the left. You're going to see with the arrow, the red arrow at the 13-second mark is pointing to the file. So as it plays, you're going to see it highlights the text to the right. You have the ability to make comments. You can see in the yellow and I guess that's purple. You can see some comments that we have there. And so you'll see up top that transcript text. You have the ability to search within that. So you can go ahead and type in words. Also can enter search terms. You can highlight them with your persistent highlighting sets. So just something to note for there. And obviously, if this one doesn't have the partition, but you would see that there for speaker 1, speaker 2. And as noted, the black text will link between the video. Handling multiple languages. I mean, essentially, kind of the most important note is make sure you select the primary language that is the greater majority of the file rights. It's just going to confuse some other words. It will use the context surrounding what's said. I can see clearly now the rain is gone. Great song. But anyway, so in C, right, if I select English, more likely than not, that's going to spell it S-E-E. Or if I'm saying something in Spanish and I say C, right, it's going to think S-I. And so just something to note. Obviously, if it's the surrounding words are in English and you're using C, it's more likely going to pick the English version. But just something of note. This isn't something, just a note, right? This isn't like a court approved. This is like essentially trying to get you to the as close to as possible what the individuals are saying. Just a few other things with regional languages. So offhand, French has multiple different dialects that are being spoken, and so you can select those dialects. It's recommended not to pick multiple for those. So just something may affect spelling, and just something to note there. It is an application to be installed into a workspace, and then essentially you have two tabs that are being added: the transcription jobs, which you can view and manage from there. The queue just kind of shows you what exactly it's working on, and then with that, you just want to make sure you have that mass operation button to transcribe it, and then viewing and managing transcription jobs is in the review library tab. So wanted to go ahead and jump into relativity here. So got some of our videos, and so wanted to go ahead and just kind of give you an idea of what this will look like. So I'm going to show you one that has not been transcribed yet. So you can just see I have the regular audio video. I play the file. It plays in relativity. You can hear my wonderful voice, and you can see there's no transcription text. So how do we go ahead and kick that off? So we would select the file or many files, go ahead and click the transcribed button here. And so you're going to get that screen you saw in one of the screenshots that we saw a moment ago. Going to give it a name. We're going to select that primary and that secondary language. You have the ability to turn off the enable automatic speaker partitioning. And just a note on that, you will see more failures if you do have that on, just probably based on the files, but more likely not in 2025 with more audio and video files being put together. You are going to see more failures when you have that on. So just something of note. If it does fail, you can rerun it and turn it off if you'd like. But up top here, we have the field that we want to put that text into. So we're just going to put it into the extracted text field. And note again, very key. So sorry for saying this a second time. The extracted text, if you are updating it, and I'm going to give you a perfect example here. If I look at my extracted text here, you can see some metadata was extracted from the file. If you have automated workflows on, right, as soon as the text is here, it's going to be indexed. So now if I try to run searches against this, obviously I'm not going to get any terms back. But even after you transcribe it, you want to make sure you go back, do the full build of the DT search index, and then run your search terms or persistent highlighting sets that you have. And so just going to jump back, and of course, let's show you kind of an example of what that looks like. So first off, you can see that we add some persistent highlighting sets, and you can see over here on the right, we have them highlighted in the transcription text. So we have all that wonderful information, got different colors that you can add. And as we're running through, and we're gonna mute this real fast, you can see as the video is playing, you're gonna see it highlights the information over here on the right. And so definitely some great information. You can see the beautiful sneak peek of Kickstarter if you haven't seen it yet, where you can drop some of the files. And what Relativity is going to do is, instead of having to fill out all the prompt information, it's going to take some case information that you have, and it's going to add and fill in that information for you as a starting point. You can modify and tweak from there. So anyway, sidebar about that, but just so you can see, it's got the information that's highlighted there. We look at our extracted text, you're going to see that we have the same highlights and the same information there. And then lastly, if I jump in, and I'm going to show one other file that we have here. This was something that we had internally as a team. You can see that we have the speaker one, which is mostly me. But if we scroll down, we'll eventually see that there's other speakers as well. You can see some of the items that are highlighted from there. Somewhere on here is speaker 2. There we go, speaker 2, speaker 3. Right, so we go to our extracted text, just to note this. When we look at it, there's no speaker 1, there's no speaker 2, there's no speaker 3. Right, just something you just want to make sure that that's there and that is available for. And yeah, wanted to that is pretty much it. There's really not much to it. We're at the 14-minute mark, which is awesome. So open it up for kind of any questions that you would have. Just kind of wait for them to roll in. Looks like I already have, yeah, it looks like there's already 1 or 2 questions in here. First question was like, okay, extracted text versus the transcribed text. Yeah, no, for sure. It's funny. I guess maybe I answered this on the way, but yeah, third time to say this is probably phenomenal. And really crucial. If you do have automated workflows on, we have a lot of automated workflows at page 1, help speed up and automate. But there is something, if you were to process that audio file, the text is there, it will auto capture that information in the DT search index. So just want to maybe make some adjustments along the way. Maybe file types you're not going to automatically kind of like build the DT search index. So you could do a few different things to account for that. You could also use the transcribe text option as well and build an index off of that. But then you are running 2 different variations of search terms, search term reports or things like that. So just something to note and to account for. What type of errors do you typically see happening? I think the first one I usually see, right, is the file's not supported. The file's not supported. You potentially try to convert it to another different file type. Also, you could, the second one I see probably the most, or maybe equal to, is everyone by default turns on the speaker partitioning. You know, while it could be a great feature to identify who's speaking, you will see more failures than having that toggled off. So that would probably be the second most thing. Can you compare this to other tools externally? Yeah, for sure. That's another good question. So basically, what we do is there's other options out there, right? You can export the file, drop it through that conversion process, get the text file, build a load file, and load it back into Relativity. I would just say it is especially if somebody's giving them to you in ones and twos, it's a lengthy process for, one or two files when, quite frankly, you could just listen to the audio or probably watch the video in that same or even less time. But that, of course, is an option. It is using Microsoft's transcription tools, so it's a good service and a good tool with great results. Let's see. Last question is how many languages are supported? That's a good question. So I feel like I always say that about questions, but they are good questions. There's 145 languages or dialects that are supported, and it's pretty much all the major languages. I don't know them all off the top of my head. I will see, just kind of looking through the list, one of the interesting things that I saw were there's about 21 different dialects of Spanish that's being supported. Didn't even know there were that many, to be perfectly honest with you. So that was pretty interesting. So some of the major languages you've spoken across the world, are going to have multiple dialects, but there's many languages on there that are supported. So if anybody has any other questions, feel free to type them into the chat. And let's see any others. Awesome. Well, thanks everybody for taking time out on this Thursday. Hope to see everybody at Relativity Fest soon, and thank you again. Have a great day.